Hello all, welcome back to my class. In the previous session we have seen flyweight design pattern and I have explained the intent section and the motivation behind using the flyweight design pattern and the structure, participants, so applications of a flyweight design patterns, and even we have seen the consequences of the flyweight design pattern. Now in this session we are going to see the few of the issues that can be arise when you are going to implement the flyweight design pattern. So that is, I will continue with the flyweight design pattern. So within that, implementation, issues. So that you need to consider these points while you are going to start your implementation. Okay. So we are going to discuss 2 points within this one. So means we need to consider before designing your flyweight design pattern. Okay. So we will see that one. See what happens usually, the design patterns applications we can usually we are going to find it very easily based on whether I am going to easily identify the extrinsic state or not. Okay, so here in the first step we are going to concentrate on to removing the extrinsic state. So that is an issue you need to go through before designing or implementing your flyweight design pattern. So usually what happens, so I am going to consider the applications of the design pattern is good or it is going to be the efficient when I am going to easily identify the state of the design pattern. Okay, so I told you in the previous session that is this flyweight design pattern contains 2 states, that is the extrinsic state and the intrinsic states, right. So if it is very easy to identify the state of a design pattern, then the applications of the design pattern is also going to be the efficient one. So that I can assure you about the design pattern. Okay. So removing the extrinsic state means it is not going to avoid the clumsiness, or it is not going to give us a shareable mode. Okay, so I cannot tell. So if I remove the extrinsic state of a design pattern, so it cannot be made shareable, or it can be made as a shareable. So that we cannot justify actually based on removing the state of a design pattern. So we need to, because why we cannot assure means, so all the object which is being created, so everything will be having their own shareable, non-shareable modes, and I cannot tell that extrinsic state will be removed, and by that way I am going to remove the shareable and non-shareable modes. So it's bit difficult to tell us based on the removing of this extrinsic state. So ideally what happens means we need to create, or we need to compute the extrinsic state of an object. So with the different storage structures, means based on the requirements we need to design the extrinsic state of a design pattern. So ideally we can go with this one. So instead of removing the extrinsic state, so if you consider to implement the state of that particular design pattern based on the requirements, based on the object requirements, if you are going to implement the same, so then usually you can go with the shareable and non-shareable features. Okay, so that is what the point is going to focus. So what you need to decide here is, so removing is not going to give you the exact solution. Instead implement the extrinsic state based on the requirements. Okay, so based on the shareable and non-shareable mode that is required by you, so you can decide so which state you are going to choose, whether you are going to choose intrinsic or you are going to choose the extrinsic state. So based on the particular situation, that particular instant, you can go with the selection. So that you can consider for the implementation. We will see the next one. So that is shared objects. So that is managing the shared objects. How to manage the shared objects? When you have so many objects that is been created, so there is a task to manage those things. So how I can go with the individual object management or a group of object management, that gives rise to your questions, right? So in that particular sense, we need to decide means which particular person or who is going to instantiate the object. Okay, so usually what happens, the client, they are going to they are going to try themselves in order to instantiate the object since they are being shared. So that should not happen. So you should not allow those kinds of situations where the client is directly going to invoke instantiate the objects directly. So that should not be done. So because if you are giving that connection directly to the client, there is no need of using the pattern. Okay, so in this perspective, what you need to do, so what are all the requests you are going to send or the manipulation what you are going to do on this particular object, so you should go through the flyweight design pattern. So that is, you need to use the flyweight factory. So that we have seen in the motivation diagram as well as I explained in the structure also. So there you have come across the word flyweight factory, which is a class, abstract class, where it is going to forward the request to everyone, and it means it is going to have a definition level and you are going to implement in the derived classes. So we have seen this one, flyweight factory, as a class in the structure of flyweight design pattern as well as in the motivation diagram also we have seen. So whatever the request you are going to perform on an object, or if you want to submit any request to an object, so such kinds of things. Avoid direct connection between the objects. So client cannot actually directly connect it with the objects. They may be in illusion that since they are shareable mode, so we can actually get communicated with the object. No, there is no concept of getting communicated directly with the object. If you want to get to communicated with the directly, or you want to manipulate the object directly, it is not possible. Always go through the flyweight factory, because flyweight factory contains the all details of the objects that is being created. So it is nothing, the definition itself tells us. So it contains the group of object which is a fine grained, we can actually manipulate or we can efficiently use that one. So that is the definition of a flyweight design pattern. So which allows us, so if you want to perform any activity, go with the flyweight factory, so that forwards the request to the object. And the same thing, whatever the operations you just want to perform, so you just pass through this one, so it will be applied to the objects. So these 2 points you need to consider before going for the implementation of the flyweight design patterns. Okay, so next we will see the sample code. So that is a pseudo code that can be used for this flyweight design pattern. Sample code. So for this sample code, that is for pseudo code, we are going to consider the glyph class, so that I explained in the motivation diagram. So glyph was an abstract class. Through that glyph, that was an editor, okay, graphical editor. So through that we were using the flyweight design pattern. So we will see how to implement that one, the same logic with the pseudo code. Okay, so we will see that one with the coding part. So you can consider this coding part where, so glyph is a base class for flyweight graphical objects. So this logically glyphs are composites, okay, so that have graphical attributes and can draw themselves. Here we can focus on just the font attribute, but the same approach can be used for any other graphical attributes a glyph might have. Okay, so that is a class glyph. Within that you have got a public, virtual, so glyph destructor is there, and then you have got a draw method. Within that you have a window which is pointer, and then you have a context, glyph context, and then set font, so which is going to be used for setting the font of editors, any of the text or image like that. So glyph context as passed as a parameter, and you have got a pointer there. And then get font, so to retrieve that one, and then you have first node, that is a next, and you are going to have a is done operation. So it is going to be the type bool, so means it is going to return yes or no. and then current particular node it is going to fetch, so that is also there, current glyph context. And then insert, remove operation as usual, just you I have seen no linked list like that. So the same approach you can go with this one, insert, delete, so first node, last node, like that you can actually traverse this one. So here the character subclass, when you use the character subclass, so just stores a character code which the coding part look like this. The class character, which is a subclass for the glyph class, okay. So that is why you have got colon public glyph. Within that you have got a public, so method, okay, so public method. So within that you have got, so character, so that is of a, that is it is got a public, so within that you have a character, and then you have a draw method, so which is having a glyph context in the window, and within private section you have got a char code which is of type character. So means to keep from allocating space for font attribute in every glyph, so we are going to store the attribute extrinsically in glyph context object, okay. So a glyph context acts as a repository of extrinsic state. It maintains compact mapping between glyph and its font in different contexts. Any operation that needs to know the glyph's font in a given context will have a glyph context instance passed to it as a parameter. The operation can then query the glyph context for the font in that context. The context depends on the glyph's location in the glyph structure. Therefore, glyph's child, iteration and manipulation operations must update the glyph context whenever they are used. So you can just go through this coding, that is a class glyph context. So within that you have a public field, so glyph context, virtual glyph context destructor. So next method, so it has been initialized to step 1, and insert, the quantity is initialized to 1, and then get font, so set font operation, so span is initialized to 1, and within a private you have got a, that is index, so which is of type int, and the fonts which is of type b3, means which is going to be pointed, okay. So a glyph context must be kept informed of the current position in the glyph structure during traversal. Glyph context, that is it is going to have a next operation, okay. So that next increments index as the traversal proceeds. The glyph subclass that have a children, that is row and a column, must implement next, so that it calls glyph context, that is you have a scope resolution operator, that is a double colon there. So that is a next at each point in a traversal. Glyph context, then the scope resolution. Get font uses the index as a key into B-tree structure that stores the glyph to a font mapping. Each node in the tree is labeled with the length of the string for which it gives font information. Leaves in the tree point to a font, while interior nodes break the string into substring, font, one for each child, okay. So you can consider the following expert from a glyph composition. So you can just go through this diagram where the B-tree structure for font information might look like. So you can just see, so it contains the characters, object oriented programming, like that, some characters are there, okay, and the continuation in the second row, and in the same way in the third row, so so on, okay. So it is given row wise and the column wise, so on, okay. So interior nodes define ranges of glyph indices. The B-tree is updated in response to font changes, and whenever glyphs are added to are removed from the glyph structure. For example, assuming we are at index 102 in a traversal, the following code, okay. So this code sets the font of each character in the word expect to that of the surrounding text, that is times 12, an instance of font for 12 point times New Roman, okay. Glyph context GC font times 12, that is equal to new font times Roman 12, okay. So font, so times italic 12, new font times italic 12. So GC set font, so that is the operation where we are going to do set the font. So within bracket, so you have times 12 comma 6. Okay, so we are going to update this one. The new B tree structure with changes. Okay, so the changes will be appeared like this. So you can just look at this diagram and you can compare with the previous diagram. Okay, so the only changes which has been updated will be highlighted like this. Suppose we had the word don't including the that is a trailing space in a 12 point times italic before expect. The following code informs the GC of this event assuming it is still at index 102. So if I follow GC dot insert that is 6 GC dot set font times italic 12 comma 6. Okay, so then the B tree structure will be updated like this. So that is times italic 12 will be like this. So you can just see in the diagram. Okay, so these are the few of the operations that we can go with the that is a flyweight design pattern. The small pseudo code I explained. So this you can actually implement in your own designs. So that is left to you. So this is only the basic part. So how we can implement this flyweight design pattern. So now we'll see the noun uses of this one. So basically this flyweight was used in interviews. Interviews is not a physical what you are going to face. So this is a that is object oriented concept or object oriented environment. So where actually this interviews used the flyweight objects initially. So which used for the graphical editor. So as a primitive objects, so it was using the Clive abstract class what we have studied in the previous motivation and the pseudocode example as well as. Okay, so all these objects were initially used in this interviews 3.0. So which is object oriented concepts designs. So where the initial stages of the flyweight objects were used. Okay, so that is the first uses. So even the ET++ framework, so that we have come across in the previous design pattern also. So ET++ framework uses to provide independent look and feel operation. So actually in this framework, so it's been widely used to provide the independent feel, that is a look and feel operation, that is nothing but your interface designs, right. So while designing the interface means look and feel is nothing but your interface design that can be communicated with the user interface. So there also it is being used to provide the independent views. Okay, so that is independent operations. So we'll see the next one. In layout objects, in the same in the ET++ only with continuation that one. So even it is being used in the layout objects where it can be designed based on the that is the row wise and the column wise object creations to maintain it efficiently. So for that also it is being used. Okay, so that is in ET++ framework only. So that is one with the that is a look and feel operation. Another when you are gone, so it even provided the layout option. So that is the horizontal, verticals, and the because the row and the column wise was taken row. Means row wise and the column wise were taken that is to go with the efficient usage of the objects, right. So that is why here also we can find the usage of the flyweight design pattern. So these are the noun uses of the flyweight design pattern. We'll see the related patterns to this one. So this I can relate to composite design pattern. Even I can relate to strategy. and even I can relate to state design pattern. State design pattern is not in syllabus, but it's one of our design pattern, and the composite you have seen, so which is going to be the means combinations, or which is going to contain a group of objects together. And the strategy means I have told you that it is going to have a that is the complex algorithms based on the situation, based on the problem. It is going to use the particular algorithms, or which uses a strategy to choose the algorithms, right? So we have seen that one. So that two design pattern, that is a composite strategy that is there in a syllabus, that can be related to a flyweight design pattern, and even the state can also be used, so which is going to tell us a current state of an object. So instant means what are all the things it is doing at a particular time, in you are going to consider with respect to time. So that is the name itself, a state. Okay, so these are the few of the related patterns to the flyweight design patterns. So that is about the flyweight design pattern. So we have seen till now. So next we will see the next design pattern, that is a proxy. So that is the last design pattern in the module. So that is we will see a proxy design pattern. Proxy design pattern. So you have come across this word, the general meaning of the proxy design means proxy word, I can tell. So before going to the design pattern definition, so we'll see what is the general meaning of the proxy. So usually what happens means in the classrooms, okay, so your friend may be absent for that particular day, or for your friends, okay, when I am going to take attendance, so what you people are going to do, your friends are not present, okay, but still you are going to tell present means you are going to tell attendance for him, okay, in his absence you are going to answer his attendance, right. So for that you are going to call proxy. Usually in the college days you are going to term that is also proxy, right. So in that perspective, okay, so if you consider that logic, it's correct, okay, it's correct, it's going to match our design pattern definition also. Why? Because in the absence of a person, I am going to denote as if the real person is there, okay. So means the person is not there, you are giving the present status to him, means you are indicating that he is present in the class, right. So that is means originally is absent, but virtually you are pretending him like he is in a class, okay. So that term I explained the general meaning as a proxy. Here I am going to use that same meaning, but with the pattern descriptions, okay. So here that is a proxy design pattern. So it is going to be the virtual object, I can tell. So it is going to be a surrogate. So even you have come across this word surrogate, like a surrogate mother, okay. So physically the original mother cannot bear a child. In that case you are going to find a surrogate mother, means she can provide a child for you, right, like that. So virtually she will be the mother, but real mother will be different, right. So in the same thing we are going to adopt here. So in the proxy design pattern, so this design pattern, it is going to be a virtual object instead of the real object, because a real object may take most of the time to execute, or it is going to means incur more cost to create. So it may be having so many drawbacks. So instead of creating the original object or bringing it for execution, I can go for the proxy design pattern. So which will give me the less cost, even it is going to give the more performance compared to the original object itself. So what happens here? So instead of bringing the original object which has been created, okay, I am going to place the virtual object there. Okay, I am going to assign all the activities to the virtual object only, and this virtual object internally it is going to maintain some links to the original object. It cannot actually perform activity without the cooperation of the original object. Okay, So a virtual object will be connected with this one virtual object, and through that means through this virtual object it is going to establish some of the links, or it is going to perform the activity by reducing the complexity, by reducing the cost, okay, and even going with the high performance. Okay, so now actual definition of the proxy design pattern, that is the intent section of the proxy design pattern, will see. So this is your actual definition. So we'll see, provide a surrogate or a placeholder for another object to control access to it. Okay, so that is I told you the surrogate meaning. Okay, so instead of a original person you will be there, right? So that is nothing but a placeholder. You are going to hold that place. Okay, so you are going to have the surrogate and as well as the place, means one and the same. The meaning will be one and the same, surrogate and the placeholder. So instead of the original member, original object, you are going to have the duplicated or virtual object. So that is going to be controlling the access to that original object. Okay. So when you have a object, so which is being a placeholder, which is going to have a means just like a surrogate object, so which is going to have a access to it, that is it contains a control to access it. Okay, so that is the original meaning of the proxy design pattern. So using this one you can actually perform some bit of the operation, that is the performance will be high. How the performance will be high? So how it is going to give that operation? The same operation that will be done by the original object will be carried by the virtual object, right? So then how can I tell it is going to increase the performance? It's a bit questioning, right? So we'll see how actually it is going to provide that performance and all. Okay, so before that, so one part we missed, what is that? Also known as, that is if any other names are present or not. Surrogate. Another name for the proxy design pattern is surrogate. Okay, so it is there in a definition only. So you can actually call this proxy and the surrogate alternatively. Okay, so that is another name for this design pattern. So then we'll see what is the motivation behind using proxy design pattern. Okay, so we'll see the reality behind using the proxy design pattern. See what happens sometimes when you have the web pages or the any of the, for example when you open the Facebook or a WhatsApp like that. So when you will consider web pages. Okay, so when you open the Facebook like that, so what happens initially, what you are going to do? So when you open the Facebook, the home page will be displayed. Okay, so home page will be there, and the profiles and the videos that is being uploaded by you will not be visible at that moment. Okay, so you are going to access or instantly means at that particular time you are going to focus on the main page. Okay, home page of that particular Facebook app, right? So later, so if you wish to view the images and the videos that is uploaded by you, so you can click on a profile pages or a photo button and like that. So you can view the images and the videos. So here the concept is, so when you open the Facebook, immediately the images and the videos are uploaded, or it is going to be attached with that document, means so it will be expense you with in terms of the software. Okay, so when you are going to access the main page, you should get only that main page. The images, the videos that is going to be means preceded or that is going to come next should not be present in that instant only. Okay, so whatever the things that is going to follow with this main page should come after some time. So it should not come together with this main page. Okay. So in that logic, so when you are going to create some articles or some objects, some web page or some forms, okay, some online forms. So while designing, so you may include a few of the images and the videos in the later stages. So that is, you are going to use the multimedia in your pages. So initially we doesn't require, okay, in the first page we doesn't require any video or image. Okay, so you want to display that images and the videos in the later pages. So when you want to include the images in the later pages, don't bring or don't create those objects in the initial main program itself. Okay, so if you create like that, so that object will wait for such a long time, because that page will come after few minutes. Okay, for those few minutes this page will be in waiting state. I mean, the object created, the memory allocated for that, everything will be wasted, right? So when you want to go with those kinds of operations, okay, so you can use the virtual object. Okay, you create the real object and you keep that aside, and then you can use this virtual object which is going to pretend as if it is been original, but it is not going to consume any of the memory or any of the cost that is going to be incurred by the original object. Okay, so when you are going to execute the main page, this object, that is a virtual object, will pretend as if it is an original object, but the original object is not yet to be, not yet it's been instantiated. Okay, so because if you instantiate in the beginning itself, it may incur more that is efficiency, means for example with terms of time and the space complexities. Okay, so to avoid those kinds of issues, okay, so to avoid those kinds of issues, I am going to use, or you are going to use this that is proxy design pattern. So which is going to be the that is a virtual object for the real object that is present. Okay, so even you can use this for distributed systems. So your original objects will be somewhere and you are going to provide the services virtually, right? So you can even provide this those kinds of operation using the proxy design pattern. So that is the explanation what I did as an for motivation section of the proxy design pattern. We'll see with the diagram. Okay, so that will make you with a better understanding. So you can just see this is small diagram. Okay, so in this diagram, so you have got a text document, some document is there. So within that document you may include the images, audio, video files and so on. Okay, so here a text document is there. So within that you have got some image there, image file is there. So it just want to perform its operation. So you can just see it has got some link. So it is going to invoke the image proxy, means which is not a original object that is intended to operate with this image file. Okay. So this particular original object creation or the operation attached with this one is residing in this one, that is an image. So which contains a data which is there in the secondary storage device, that is in a disk. Okay. So it is being stored in the backend, and between this text document and then image, okay, an image, original image. So you have got the one person in between, that is a image proxy. Okay. So that image proxy serves as a proxy design pattern. Okay. So which is going to be a intermediator between the image, that is a text document, okay, and the that is the original image, okay, which is stored in the memory, because it is in execution state, right. So it will be in a memory itself, main memory, and your original object or the original thing which is to be brought here for the execution in the memory. So that will be in a secondary storage device. It will not be brought to a main memory. Why? Because we have got the virtual object present. Okay. So this person is going to perform the activity on behalf of this original image. Okay. So this is a small diagram, so that is going to represent how the proxy design pattern is going to work. So that is in a motivation diagram. We will see one more diagram for a better understanding of this proxy design pattern in a motivation itself. So you should have some client, right. I'll take document editor as a client person who is going to start the work to the request. Draw same operations that is there in the graphic. Store and the load, and the extra operation if you want, that is which is particular to this class, will take it. Image implementation and the extent. Image proxy will take the same operation, that is a draw operation, get extent, then store and the load operation, and a few of the operation that is relevant to this one, file implementation and the extent. So this can be added with so many classes. So this is an motivation diagram. So to explain how we are going to use the proxy design pattern, I explained with a small diagram, so which was a more easiest to understand. So now with the class and the object and the operations, so we'll see in in elaborated way. So that is you have got a document editor. Okay, so that is nothing but your client who is going to instantiate or who is going to start the work. So you have got a graphic class. So within that you have operations, that is a draw, get, extend, store and the load operations. Okay, so that is a store and the load operations that may be with the memories. Why? Because it is going to, after execution, so it is going to store back the results, and again for the execution it is going to load the instructions to memory. Like that, load and store operations will be there, and the draw in order to implement the particular operations which is being called. Okay, so following that you have got the that is derived classes, that is you have got a image and the image proxy. Okay, so here image proxy is our design pattern. Okay, so that is a proxy design pattern, and your image is actually the original one. Okay, so original image object where it is being stored. So within that you have got the same operations which is going to be derived from the base class, parent class, that is a draw, get, extend and so on. And the particular event, the particular attributes of this class will be image implementator, that is the implementation details and the extend operation. Okay, so here in the image proxy, which is going to have reference to the original. Okay, so whenever the means the editor or a graphic means when it is going to invoke the image or a audio files or any of the multimedia files, so this proxy, it doesn't contain any information within it. Okay, so whatever the thing it is going to perform, so it just references from the that is to a original object. Okay, from a original object only it is going to reference. So you can just see here it has got the reference points. Okay, so it is going to forward that one link to the original image, and then it is going to get the things from there. Okay, so you can just see now, so it has got a draw method, so implementation part is there, and then you have a get, extend. So we'll see this one, so what it contains. So in the draw method, so you have got, when you want to draw that particular image, so it is checking actually if image, okay, so it is compared with the 0. So if it is 0, image is 0, then what you are going to do, you are going to load that image. Why? Because it is not been loaded. So it is actually the main class is invoking to load that image, to display that image, but the that image is not present. Okay, why we have not kept that image? Because it may take more memory. So for that only we maintain that image in the backend store, and we use the proxy design pattern. So whenever this application calls the object or an image, so immediately it loads it. Okay, so that is the operation we are going to perform. So it is actually checking whether it is present or not present. So means if it is 0 which is not present, then you are going to load the image based on the file name as a parameter. If not, okay, if it is not 0, so it contains some values, so then it is going to draw that particular image. Okay, so that is a draw operation, means it is going to display. And then you have got a get, extend method. So we'll see what it is going to implement. So again it is going to perform the image that is comparison with the 0. So if it is 0, then you are going to get a extent of that one. So if it is not 0, some other integer values, so then it is going to return, that is a else, return the get, extend operation. You are going to return the, means retrieve that operations. Okay, so this is how the simple proxy design pattern motivation example. So means how we are going to use, very simple, instead of the main object, this one, so you are going to use the proxy, and this proxy is going to reference the original one, and then it is going to have the calculations based on whether it is present or not present. If present, return that. If not present, so you are going to fetch based on the file name passed. Okay, so this is the motivation behind using the proxy design pattern. Okay, we'll continue in the next session. Thank you.